Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Jack Drury gets open. He beats Jesper Wallstedt 2-0 in favor of the Avalanche. A minute after that, Colorado was on fire in this game. The Wild took a couple of bad penalties, and before you knew it, they were getting blitzed in this game. Here comes Arturi Lehkonen. You can't let him get loose. He scores. It's 3-0, and the route you think is on. Instead, a funny thing happened on the way to a route. The Wild got themselves back in the game. It's 3-1. Ryan Hartman scores down low. Now all of a sudden 3-2 in favor of Colorado. Late in the first period, Hartman just stuck out in front of the net, tips it home. 3-2 game after one. Into the second. Avalanche come down. You do not want to get into a track meet with this guys. Nick Blankenberg scores. It's 4-1. Wild say, okay. Vladimir Tarasenko, what a backhand goal. Remember how excited he was? He scored against Dallas. That is waiting out to the absolute last possible minute for a backhander. Now it's 4-3. Wild get it back. Quinn Hughes scores. The game is tied at 4 with 8 minutes to go in the second period. And if this is when you started to watch, you picked a heck of a time. Avalanche have a power play. The puck comes loose. Marcus Foligno on a shorthanded breakaway on the backhand scores. It's 5-4 Wild. They've come all the way back and now lead the game. Didn't stay tied for long. Devin Taves on the power play tips it home, and the game is tied up at 5 through 2 periods. I guarantee plenty of people said, okay, I got to watch now. It didn't stay tied for long. Cale Makar. If it's not Quinn Hughes, it's Makar who's the best defenseman of the game. What a perfect shot. 6-5, Colorado. Wild turn it over. Nazem Kadri gets open. He scores on a wrister. It's 7-5, Avalanche. An avalanche of goals is the best way to describe it. The Wild, though, weren't done. 4 minutes to go. Matt Zuccarello would tip home a goal, and wait a minute. Don't close the door yet. It's 7-6. This is like video game hockey that's happening here. Neither goaltender had their best game. Avalanche, though, have this guy. Makar scores again, his second of the game. Again, I mean, what's Jesper Wallstedt going to do there? He couldn't see anything. 8-6 Avalanche. They'd add an empty netter. Colorado takes game one, 9-6. 9-6, the final in game number one, led by Makar's 2 goals. Wallstedt had 34 saves despite the fact he gave up 8 goals. Avalanche, I mentioned, added an empty netter. No one with Colorado outside of Makar had more than one. Malinsky, Taves, Blankenberg, they got defensemen to score 5 goals last night. Afterwards, John Hines, Jesper Wallstedt said we got to get ready for game number 2.
I think there's a lot to unpack in this one. You know, it was a bit of a helter-skelter game, and obviously you can tell by the score. So, we'll take a look at some things and take some lessons out of this one and be ready for game 2. I thought Wally played. I mean, look what the score was. It like we can say it was 9, but they got the empty netter, and I mean, their guy was in for a lot of goals against too.
You score 6 in a playoff game, you come back from down 3 to take a lead at one point. Does that say something? I mean, do you try and build on that, or just how do you digest that part of it?
Yeah, listen, the game was helter-skelter. We lost the game. There's certain areas we got to clean up and be ready to clean up, and we will. It's, if you lose a game, you got to take the lessons out of it and move on. If you win a game, you got to take the lessons out of it and continue to move on. That's what playoff hockey is. So there's certain things that we didn't do. I think there was multiple goals on things that, we could have done a better job on. To me, that's a positive. We pushed back and came back. That's what we do. That's who we are. I think those are positives. But, you have to be on point with attention to detail against this team. And if you're not, you leave yourself vulnerable to give up chances. And we gave up some chances, and they capitalized on them. So for me, a lot of the issues tonight for us are fixable.
But at the same time, I think if we score 5 goals, we should win a lot of the games. Today was a rare night where they got 8, and that happens. But we just got to flush that and let that go and move on to the next one.
On to the next one is right, and with that we say Game 2 comes up. No rest for the weary. Right away tomorrow night back in Denver. They have the odd schedule here as this finally came out over the weekend where they have 3 days off after Game 2. So there's no game on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. They don't play again until Saturday back in St. Paul. And then right after that with a game a week from tonight in downtown St. Paul at the former X for game number 4. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mike on a May the 4th be with you, the 4th day of May 2026. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program, and kind of still shaking our heads after what happened last night. I mean, that had a little bit of everything. If you liked your offense, then you got it. If you liked your NHL 93 game that I used to play when I still played video games, and that was right up your alley last night because, holy cow, what a wild one. No pun intended. But remember this, Minnesota played without Joel Eriksson Ek and Jonas Brodin. Not only are they Swedes, they're also tremendous defensive players. Eriksson Ek is the team's best center. Brodin, you could argue, is the team's best defenseman, not named Quinn Hughes. Neither one played last night, and that showed. That is not a winning scenario. You want to get involved in a up-and-down game with Colorado and trying to stop them. That's not going to produce a winning strategy. So, and again, Eriksson Ek's not, we don't expect him back for Game 3. Brodin, likely not either. They got to tighten something up. I mean, do they change goaltenders is the thing. I think that's what Hines is being asked about afterwards, is are they going to go to Philip Gustafsson, who's not played a minute yet in the playoffs. It's been all Wallstead. He started and played all 6 games against Dallas, and he's played, obviously, the entire game last night. We'll see what Minnesota has cooked up for game number 2, which is, again, tomorrow night. 7 o'clock start. Nice start time there for that one. It's the only NHL game on the schedule tomorrow night. We'll get much more on the NHL and NBA playoff wrap coming up later on in our show. The Wolves we'll talk about here in a second as they get ready for Game 1 with San Antonio coming up tonight. Other happening yesterday, the Twins were playing out. The Twins won yesterday. I'm going to give it away, but yet they lost. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. As they were facing Toronto to wrap up the weekend set, they had Joe Ryan going yesterday to finish out their 4 games with the Blue Jays, thinking, all right, it's a chance for us to get some Joe Ryan mojo going. He has not pitched great over the last little bit. Well, funny thing happened on a beautiful day at Target Field that he couldn't get out of the first inning yesterday. Threw a total of 9 pitches, and you can see he's in some serious distress after this walk. He signaled to the training staff to come out and look and talk to him. Everything about this is bad, folks. You remember a couple years ago at Wrigley Field when he came out? This had similar tones to that. 9 pitches and left the game. And now you're already without Pablo Lopez for the entire year. Mick Abel has been shut down with an arm injury. Now this happens. Yowza. No update either. He was unavailable for a post-game interview. Called for the trainer. Faced 2 batters. His last 3 pitches were all out of the strike zone. As for the rest of the game, by the way, the Twins bullpen had to respond to try to get the last 26 outs of the game. They're up 1-0 in the fifth when Luke Keyshaw sends a double to left center. Victor Caratini would score. Makes it a 2-0 Minnesota lead. They'd add to it later in the fifth. Keyshaw, by the way, been the most consistent here, you'd say. Matt Wallner, we talked about him on Friday with Corey Provis. He's got to start doing something or we could see him be sent down, and Provis actually said it. He thinks he will be sent down. Goes opposite field here for a double. Scores Cody Clemens, makes it a 4-0 Minnesota lead. Justin Topa came in again. Twins bullpen is a way of making this a game. That is a blast off the bat of Kazuma Okamoto. Turns a 4-1 game to a 4-3 game just like that. That's how this Twins bullpen rolls. They can take huge leads and make them minuscule in mere pitches. Not the best selling ad out there. It's 4-3. Topa stays in the game, but gets a 4-6-3 double play to end it. And the Minnesota Twins get a split after they won Game 1 on Thursday. The Blue Jays won Friday and Saturday. Twins win it yesterday, 4-3 behind 7 different pitchers that had to come in after Joe Ryan didn't get past the third batter of the game. Topa gets credited with the save. Andrew Morris went 3 2/3. Taylor Rogers went 2 1/3. Eric Orzi went an inning and a third. Funderburk pitched a third of an inning. And then Topa worked the ninth and, of course, made it close. So as the Twins get the win now to get to 15-20 on the season. They have an off day today, first off day they've had in 2.5 weeks, and then it's on to Washington for the Nationals, starting a series tomorrow at about 5:45 for you Twins fans that are doubling up with the Wild tomorrow. You've got a perfect, sorry, my chair was slipping there, perfect scenario with Twins game early and then the Wild game to follow after that. Now, for you basketball nerds out there, and I know there's plenty, we've got round 2 of the NBA playoffs officially starts tonight. The first round ended yesterday. We had 2 Game 7s with the Raptors getting beaten by the Cavs, and then the Pistons coming back from 3-1 down to beat Orlando. So now we're down to the final 8. The Timberwolves, of course, finished off their series last Thursday night with the win over Denver. The Spurs have actually been done for almost a week. They beat Portland last Tuesday, I want to say. So they've been sitting around for almost a full week to get ready for whoever was going to win that Wolves-Nuggets series. As it was Minnesota. Now, the big concern moving forward after dispatching of Denver, we knew Dante DiVincenzo is done, is the status of one Anthony Edwards. And if you saw the play, and we're going to show it for the last time because it's gross, of what happened last Saturday night, 8 days ago, now 9 days ago, against Denver, the hyperextension of his knees is about as ugly as it gets. Again, watch him come down there. And this is right after DiVincenzo left with the Achilles tear, that this happened to Anthony Edwards. You're thinking, all right, well, see you later. As it was, the Wolves rallied, won this game by a unbelievable performance from Ayo Dosunmu, and then had a unbelievable performance from Jaden McDaniels in Game 6. Well, little email just trickled into the inbox yesterday as I was sitting down to have dinner. Came in, it was 10:05 yesterday. The Minnesota Timberwolves today announced the following injury update on guard Anthony Edwards. Edwards, who has missed the last 2 games with a left knee hyperextension and bone bruise, has been cleared for on-court basketball activities. He'll be listed as questionable for Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals against the San Antonio Spurs. Further updates on his progress will be provided when available. So after I had to sit, I'm like, what? Like, we all think I anticipated maybe Game 3, maybe Game 4, that he would be available to play. Now we get questionable, not doubtful. It's not probable either. and here's the thing that has me, my eyebrows raised on it. When you looked at the odds makers and the betting line for tonight, it's still San Antonio minus 13.5, which makes me think that the bettors, the people that run things in Vegas, don't believe Edwards is going to play tonight. Maybe not, but everything he's done injury-wise, he's always come back early. So if the fact that he's questionable would make me think, well, maybe he's got a chance to come back and play tonight, which would be a major boon to this team. Dosunmu, we still don't know. He's been doing on-court activities as well. Of course, he did not play in Game 6. He last played a week ago tonight. It was Game 5 at Denver. So he's been out a week. We'll see if he's ready to go. And there's no extended off time. This is how they're going to go in the series schedule. It's every other day. They're going to play tonight for Game 1. Game 2 will be Wednesday night in San Antonio. Game 3, simple, is Friday night back in Minneapolis. Game 4 is next Sunday in Minneapolis. And if they need a Game 5, that will be a week from Tuesday back in San Antonio. So there's no extended, like, hey, they got 2 days off. That's not how it works after this, because the first round takes forever. Now they got to compress everything because we got to get the NBA Finals started, I think, on June the 3rd. We still have 2 more rounds to get to before we get to the NBA Finals. So that's, and granted, they actually have to work around the Minnesota Lynx schedule as well because they're scheduled to start their season coming up this week. So that's the latest. Now, also for viewers out there, I've already got a bunch of texts and tweets about this, that tonight's game, yep, you saw it right on the screen. It's exclusive to Peacock tonight. You can gripe to your blue in the face about it. And then game number 3, I believe, on Friday night is exclusive to Amazon Prime. So, yeah, 2 of the first 3 games are going to be streaming only. Name of the game, folks. We're not going the other way. I've said this, if I got a nickel for every time I've said it, I'd be a rich man. That's where the future of sports broadcasting is going. Ask the NFL of what they're going to do. NBA was smart to get on board with this. And for Amazon, I think everybody has now. Peacock, we can have the discussion on because I think more people have it after the Olympics. 2 of the last 3 years with the Summer Games in Paris and then this past year, just a couple months ago in Milan, that I think more people signed up than maybe they're willing to admit and didn't cancel. Now you got a chance. Hey, you can watch the Wolves play tonight. Start times, I'm not even going to go there. Because I was thinking about this. I was walking the dog yesterday, and frankly, I need better things maybe to think about when I'm walking the dog. But here's what you have left in the NBA. You have a team in New York left. You have a team in Pennsylvania. You have a team in Michigan and a team in Ohio, right? In the West, you have a team in Texas, a team in Oklahoma, a team in Minnesota, and a team in California. You don't have the luxury of late. You can't start games in the Central Time Zone after 8:30. That's the rule. You're not starting games. Who would want that in Oklahoma City, San Antonio, or Minneapolis? So now you could start games at 6 Eastern, which is 7, or 6 Central, which is 7 Eastern, or maybe even a little bit earlier. But networks aren't going to want to do that. NBC's not going to want to start prior to 7. They have their news. The nightly news airs at 6:30 Eastern time. They're not preempting that. It's going to go. So that's why some of these games are now moved to stream. And this is what we're left with. If you had more West Coast teams left, then the schedule would befit this. That maybe the Wolves game on Friday could actually start at 7 or even at 6. If you had a Blazers left, if you had a team in Vegas, if you had any of the California teams do anything besides the Lakers, if the Clippers, the Warriors did something, the Suns. But that's the rules on that for people wondering. So you're going to have to get ready for got 8:30 start tonight. And again on Peacock for that one. And then Wednesday, I believe we're in the same boat. Yeah, we got 8:30 for the next little bit. Buckle up. That's what it's going to be. We have a packed show here on a Monday. Our usual guests are all on vacation today. which is fine. We will make it work because that's what we do around here. It is May the 4th, and we have not had the annual Izzo Star Wars movie lineup in a bit. It just hasn't worked. With last year, it was on a Sunday. Previous to that, I believe a Saturday, so it's been a little bit. Excuse me, and with a new Star Wars movie coming for the first time in 7 years, I think there's some built-up frustration and excitement about that. We will unveil that coming up later in the show for annual derision and excitement about that. We'll do our best of the weekend. We do that each and every Monday at 9:20. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet the newest member of the Bison football staff. You talk about the move up to Division I FBS football. There are new positions being hired. Josh Rosenthal is that. He is the new Director of Player Personnel. If you think, wait a minute, that's a professional title in the pro ranks. It's also in college football. Josh was just hired from the University of South Dakota. He'd be basically doing that job started with Bob Nielsen, and he did it with Travis Johansson as well. And now he's going to be doing it with Tim Polasek this upcoming fall. Just got hired, officially introduced on Friday. He's here with us in studio on Monday. Chat about his new gig. Good guy. You'll enjoy visiting with Josh coming up at 10. At 10:35, old friend of the show, Scott Milbrandt, will join as head coach of the Kindred baseball team. The Vikings are rolling again as we're now into the, I say, final month of the spring season. Frankly, it's only been started for a couple weeks, but we're just a few weeks out from tournament season. State track is just 2.5 weeks away. Then the wrap-up of all the spring sports coming up at the end of May. With this year, the Class B baseball tournament is in Jamestown. We'll visit with Scotty about his team. Again, Region 1 in Class B loaded. Central Cass is good. Kindred's good. What breaking news there? We'll visit with Scotty about his team coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more will fit in here over the next hour and 40 minutes or so. We'll break. We come back. It is time for our best of the weekend. If you like home runs, north side of Fargo is the place to be, whether it's baseball or softball this weekend. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Monday. We're back after this. Time for our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday, roughly around 9:20. We went long on our opening segment for good reason. Lots to choose from here. Let's start on the ice. Friday night, Force are playing in Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls dominated. They are really good at home at the Premier Center. This is in the USHL Western Conference Finals here. Best of 5. Winner goes to the Clark Cup Final, which is old hat for the Force. So up against it here. I mean, if you can get a split, boy, you run back to Fargo if you're able to do that after losing Game 1. And they get the first goal of Game 2 on Saturday night. That's a way to, bam, you want to take the momentum away? They were able to do that. A.J. White, by the way, had 44 saves for the Force. That's a heck of a goal, by the way, to score. Just a fantastic play. All right, so it was a delayed penalty. Sioux Falls scores. Game goes to overtime. Right before the end of overtime, Axel Lofgren, who'd been out with injury, blasts home one-timer with 2:55 remaining in overtime. And the Force go on the road and win it 2-1 to win Game 2, even up the series at a game apiece. And now, you would talk about days off. Here's the intriguing part about this for this series. No game yesterday, no game today, no game tomorrow, no game Wednesday, no game Thursday. Got 5 days off. They resume the series Friday night at Shields Arena, and then Saturday night will be the clincher for somebody, potentially. USHL's done this forever. Just they want to maximize getting people in the building. They don't think there'll be a lot of people on a Monday or Tuesday would go. They want them on the weekend. So you got to wait a little bit, but Game 3 will be coming up on Friday night on the south side of town. I have a feeling that will be a rather large crowd that will be there for that game. Meanwhile, on the other end of town, north side, this weekend, finally we were able to have baseball and softball be played at the same time. We had our doubleheader we did on Friday between Bison softball and Bison baseball. It's beautiful all 3 days. Windy, but hey, we'll take it. NDSU baseball is playing its third, fourth, and fifth home games of the season. For softball, this was the end of the regular season. This weekend was South Dakota State. We showed you on Friday how the Bison won, coming back to win 13-12 in 8 innings. That was just the start of a run barrage that, frankly, they have not done before in the Division I era. Maya Bose, who is the only transfer on Darren Mueller's roster, set a Bison record on Saturday. Let's show you what she did over the course of the 4 days. This was Thursday. Hit a solo home run in the 6th inning. Got NDSU back within a run. A game they ended up coming back and winning 13-12 in 8 innings. This was on Friday. Hit a moonshot of a grand slam. The Bison would go on and run rule the Jackrabbits in that game 13-4 in 5 innings. Right? So she's got 2 home runs in 2 games. Saturday in the 1st inning. This is a tank. That's a 2-run shot. That's a bomb to center field. I mean, it was a little windy Saturday, but it was all right outside. That was crushed. Later in the still in the 1st inning with the bases loaded again. Bose hits another grand slam. Become the first Bison hit 2 home runs in a single inning. Hit 4 home runs in 3 games. 2 grand slams. Bison matched a program record with 41 runs in a Summit League series. They scored 13 runs in the 1st inning against the Jacks. They ended up scoring 15 in that game. On top of the 13 they scored on Friday. On top of the 13 they scored on Thursday. Not a great math mind, as we mentioned. That's 41 runs. Shout out to Maya Bose. That was awesome. Come on. Really? 2 home runs in 1. The only one I know is Fernando Tatis, Sr., who did that for the Dodgers, I want to say, or the Cardinals. Crazy. 2 home runs in 1 inning. You're living well. Bison will be the 3 seed of the Summit League tournament. They'll play the Jacks. Look out. That'll be on Wednesday in Minneapolis to open up the Summit League tournament. NDSU got its best finish in a Summit League regular season they've had in 7 years. It's not been great since COVID. We'll see what happens. If they're able to beat the Jacks, they will advance to the double elimination part. They'll get St. Thomas coming up, the home team, on Thursday. Lastly, talk about home runs. We had none in the game we had on Friday night. Good pitching. Bison beat SDSU 8-1. Then the lid came off at Newman Outdoor on Saturday and Sunday. Luke Lusky, who's the big-time hitter for the Jacks, by the way. Shout out to SDSU for the Powder Blues. They're fantastic. If you hit a home run over the batter's eye at Newman Outdoor Field, just go home. That was an absolute tank. It was over the batter's eye in dead center. This is yesterday at Newman. The Jacks won Saturday to split the series after the bye. I mean, you think he got all of that one? My word. So he's got one. Then later in the game, bases are loaded. What's up with having the bases loaded this weekend? How about opposite field power? That ball is crushed to right center for a grand slam. Lusky broke the game open, part of a huge day for SDSU at the plate. They rout the Bison yesterday. They take not only the series, they take the season series as well, which is huge when we talk tiebreakers, when we get down the road here. SDSU won 4 of the 6 matchups with NDSU this season. They won 2 out of 3 in Brookings. They won 2 out of 3 in Fargo. Bison currently sit 5th in the Summit League standings behind the Jacks. The top 4 make the Summit League tournament, which is going to be in Minneapolis as well. NDSU has 2 series left with Northern Colorado this weekend at home, and they go to St. Thomas. Jackrabbits, we didn't see any of that power. The Bison pitchers held them in check on Friday. Did not happen over the weekend. By the way, shout out and hopefully fingers crossed to Bison right-handed pitcher Parker Pitts. He got injured. You don't know what happened. He left the game on Saturday. Pitts, we talked about in our broadcast Friday night, is coming back from Tommy John surgery. He missed all of 2024 outside of 1 inning. Missed half of last year coming back from it, and he left with, we believe, an arm injury in the 4th inning of the game Saturday. So it's already been a tough year for Tyler Oaks' baseball team. Might be getting worse if their top pitcher might be out again. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We'll break. We go from the best of the weekend to the absolute worst. If you missed the story coming out of Concordia, we'll tell you about it because it defies description of what people can or would do. That's coming up when we come back. Somebody had too much fun here. Welcome back, everybody, on a May the 4th be with you. Don't worry. Official Star Wars stuff is coming later in the show. The Jackman was quite excited about it today. I can tell you that, which I had no undue influence on that. That's coming up later on in the show. Okay, so I saw this story on Saturday, and again, we went from the best of the weekend now to the worst. I just don't understand humans. I don't. And the story that came out on Saturday would reaffirm my either loss in faith or just continue to shake my head on what we're doing. There's good people out there. I meet them all the time. This one, though, is bizarre. Headline from the forum from our friend Rob Beer. It's Concordia's baseball field hit by unusual heist twice. Friday, good friend Bucky Burgow, legend, the Hall of Famer. The bleeping field is named after him over in South Moorhead. Posted on his Facebook page that 3 bases were stolen from the Cobber baseball field. And not the first time. This is the second time it's happened. Also, they weren't it. The pitching rubber was stolen as well. I mean, you got to dig in to get that thing out of there. Burgow said to Rob that someone swiped the bases from the dugout sometime Thursday night, and it wasn't the first time. So this is the second time the bases have been stolen in the past 2 weeks. He's been there for 50 years, and it's never happened before. Burgow told the forum that campus security and Moorhead police have been asked to patrol the field more often, and cameras could likely be installed soon. So the bases we can lock up, but the pitching rubber has to stay there. We can't just take that in and out all the time, which is, again, preposterous that someone would... I mean, is there a black market for bases that I didn't know about or a pitching rubber out there? He said because of the Cobbers practice and the Red Hawks are coming to use the field this past weekend, they had to borrow the pitching rubber from Concordia's softball diamond to put it in. Now, they got it back, the bases back ready by practice. Backup bases were there in their usual positions. The bat phone actually rang during commercial break because I was trying to get Bucky on today, but he couldn't make the time work. And I know he watches, which I love him for it. He did text me and said the bases have been found in a throwaway pile on a boulevard. So it's cleanup week in Moorhead, and apparently someone decided just to put them out. Come on. Like, what are we doing? He added they'll be locked up after use and hopefully putting a couple of cameras out there. The fact that we think we need cameras at a baseball diamond because we think somebody's going to jack the bases and the pitching rubber, I mean, I guess these aren't master criminals out here, but my concern more is like, what was the goal here? Other being a prank or having some? I mean, come on. That part I have obviously I've disdain for destroying property, for taking what's not yours. Like, come on, that's just, again, I'll emphasize, what are we doing? And I get it. There are way bigger fish to fry that's going on in the world. But this is like, and that, for Bucky, this is intimately personal. Beyond the field being named after him, that is his place. He's probably spent more time there than anywhere else in his life, including his home. He's been there. So anybody that knows the man knows how deeply personal this is. It's like spray painting all over the dugouts or driving your car on the outfield grass and doing donuts out there. That's what, to me, that's the equivalent of what happened here. And then to find out they're just discarded in a throwaway pile on a boulevard, part of clean, like hoping that somebody would take them. I mean, again, people are going to put two and two together. This story was the most read story we had all weekend at the Forum. I mean, comments ranged on this, which there's a couple of clever ones saying if they want to steal bases, then tell them to go play baseball, which I did chuckle at that. But you don't mess with Bucky stuff. Just right. Rob said it perfect. Leave Bucky stuff alone. That's exactly right. So somebody was heads up and found him and will be returned. The pitching rubber one, that to me, that's the one, like, you got to, like, how did you get that out? You can't just go in with your hands and take that. Like, you got to have some equipment, I would think. Is there a black market on that I'm not aware of? I just don't understand the thought process on that. I guess it was some sort of horrendous prank or dare or whatever. I just don't get it. And it's happened twice over. Rob priced it out, by the way. If you have bases, some professional grade sets run $300 to $500. Man, they didn't go cheap over there. If anyone's been since they made the remodel, which opened, 3 years ago, when they remodeled the grandstand, put his name up, the dugouts, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's fabulous over there. It's really nice. Great place to watch a game. Today, notwithstanding, a little windy, but it'd be perfect. But there's cameras coming up soon. So you want to go do it, go ahead. But how much do bases cost? Like, just normal bases can't be more than $50, right? I mean, I guess it's beyond that, but to me, I shake my head on that. Thankfully, and I appreciate Buck giving me the update on that, that the bases have been found. They were not returned. They were found, and we'll see what happens from there. But just got to shake your head at the whole deal. Just a mess. But thankfully, they've been found. Again, what was the thought process to go and steal the pitching rubber? Again, I was trying to think about this on Saturday as well. What would be the mode to get that out of the infield? And not be noticed. Granted, you're moderately secluded, but you're right on A Street is where the baseball diamond is. And I know there's no lighting over there, so it does get it gets dark, but still, I don't know if anybody noticed. They've got all that housing now that's along A Street that's right next to the baseball diamond that nobody noticed what was going on. Maybe somebody did. I'll hopefully maybe find out, because that's silly. Glad they've been found, but man, that's just a sucky deal there. Thanks to Buck for giving us the info, and we'll work to get him back. We're going to have him on to talk about it, because it's just a ridiculous deal. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. I have in my hand the official, there it is, the movie rankings on it. These are from old school. I believe my good friend Ben made these a while ago. Hot Mike continues on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMB at Inforum.com after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Just a few minutes left here before we wrap up hour one. Josh Rosenthal, NDSU's new Director of Player Personnel, will join us coming up in hour number 2. Okay, so today's the day for, and I get it, there's a swath of people they'll roll their eyes today, and that's fine. This has become, because I could tell you, even 20 years ago, May 4th was just May 4th. It was honestly maybe like the last 10 when Star Wars finally, hey, we could do this on this particular day. There are some days that people are able to take over, and May 4th seems like a slam dunk that George Lucas could have, granted he's already gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars of my money and many, many others, that he could have got this probably in 1981, 82. And full disclosure, it is not for everybody. Even in my own house. And my wife is, I think, humored when, now that my son is involved with it, she already knows that I've been in this since we met. She still agreed to marry me, so I got that going for me. But this is a fun day. And the fact that now my son embraces it, he had a Star Wars shirt. This is a one-time deal. Normally, I have to dress for the show or on television. One day I get away with it, Star Wars Day. Or if the Mets ever make it to the World Series, that's going to be a whole other deal. But we don't have to worry about that in 2026. Now, I say this, we are on the doorstep here. We're 2.5 weeks out from the first Star Wars movie in 7 years, right? Now, we've had plenty of shows in that time frame, but there hasn't been a movie in the theater, because that is the ultimate experience. And I get for some that either don't go to the theater anymore or don't like going to the movies. That's fine, and can watch it at home. That's fine. But there is something uniquely about going to a packed theater with a bunch of people that are as excited about said movie as you are. That is, you can't describe it. Like literally today, I'm looking on my photos from today, that 2012. The first Avengers movie came out. I distinctly remember I ran off the set, still anchoring the sports, to get over to West Acres at the time to make sure I got my seat for, with a bunch of other people from WDAY. We were going to go see it. And it was unbelievable. It was electric. There are sports events that would crave that kind of energy. I've been to different sporting events that could use the kind of energy that was in the theater for those nights. And Star Wars, without a doubt, has done that. And I've had the pleasure of doing that with several of people that either still work here or formerly worked here of different movie nights. Now, it's different now. That I used to do the midnight movies all the time. I'm too old. I can't do that now, especially for I don't think I'd make it. But point being is that we have another one coming. And now this is different because it's off a TV show, of The Mandalorian. For those that are initiated, they know what I'm talking about, with our friend Baby Yoda here in front, who's been a mainstay on the set since we started decorating the set in 2020. I think this was the first prop we had, was Baby Yoda here, Grogu. And it was instantly popular. They've done 3 seasons of it, and instead of a 4th, they're going to do a movie, which is risky because I can tell you, for those that either don't have Disney Plus or they have no idea what this character, they know about him, but they don't know anything about said character or backstory. That's the risk. And for the rest of us who are knee deep in this, the fact we got another Star Wars movie, I'm over the moon. Now, here's the official Izzo rankings. I put this together when we did it for May the 4th, way back, I think, 2021. And the sad part is we haven't had a new movie come out to change it. And my rankings remain, this is it. Now, we'll see if this movie can crank into the top 6. Because those are, and I get it, number 5 is going to get a lot of heat. Last Jedi for some is reviled. I don't understand why. Last Jedi is really bleeping good. And actually, I should move down Rise of Skywalker maybe to the bottom. It's bad. That's the last one that came out in 2019. It's I don't know if garbage is too strong. It's bad. And I thought Attack of the Clones was bad. Actually, I have more appreciation maybe for the Phantom Menace now after seeing the Obi-Wan show. And I get it, for people that aren't Star Wars people, you're probably rolling your eyes in the back of your head. You can give me 6 minutes to do this. Okay. Rogue One, by the way, that came out in 2015. Every time it's on, that's like you stop, at least for me, and I watch. It's fantastic. And the Andor series, that TV show, that is tremendous. That actually has won like legitimate Emmys. Like it's that well received. It's not just Star Wars. It's set in the Star Wars universe, but it's a good show. Bleeping good show, I would add. So this is the official rankings. And unfortunately, I have not been able to update them because we haven't had a new one to do. There's plenty of projects. Ryan Gosling's got one coming sometime soon. The thing is, it's all centered around the Skywalker family. We haven't had anything else. The TV shows have tried to do that. And I will say this, because we've got to go to break here, but I have on the level of like 10 being the people that were waiting outside Paradox on Saturday on Free Comic Book Day. I was there. I would not wait outside, but the Jackman and I went. I'm about a 7 on the scale of nerddom here, right? I enjoy it. I've seen the movies. I know the lines. I know most of the characters. I'm down, right? There are people that are like at a 12. I'm not there. I'm not ready to harass or get on social media and say, no, that's not me. I'm not a 3 or a 4 either that's not going to say anything. I'm about yay here on it. And the fact that my son is into it now, I believe we're going to go see Mando and Grogu here in a couple weeks, which that'll be his first Star Wars experience. Now that will be cool. That I am excited about. And hopefully it doesn't stink. That's all. At this age now, I'm just like, I hope it doesn't stink. Because there's too many of them that have not been great. All right, let's break. When we come back, we'll start our second hour. Bison Football has a new director of player personnel. You're wondering what? Well, that's what happens when you go to FBS Football. You'll meet Josh Rosenthal. He'll be here with us in studio when hour 2 of Hot Mic begins after this.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. Here's Don Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Star Wars Nerd Monday. We'll save more of that for later in the show. There's people that I know tune in for sports. We might get back to that here in hour 2. We talked plenty on the North Dakota State football move to FBS and what that entails. It means new opponents and logistics and all that. Also means new personnel as well. And our next guest is a prime example of that for new positions, as Tim Polisic told us, are going to be created for the staff. Josh Rosenthal joins us this morning. He is NDSU's now Director of Player Personnel. That's a really awfully important title. First off, thanks for being here, and welcome to Fargo. You just got here, correct?
I did. I arrived Thursday night. First day was Friday, and just getting my bearings straight really over the weekend with anything and everything in town. So I appreciate you having me on.
So describe, were you getting lost on purpose, like driving around? You know where the Fargo Dome is. I know you know that, but anything else yet?
Yeah, I figured out where the Target is. I figured out the grocery store in town, Hornbachers. But yeah, you're exactly right. My wife actually was telling me, like, you have to go get lost a little bit until you figure it out. You know, the old adage, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. So truly, I'm that goofball with a different license plate in town that's just kind of slowing down when I probably shouldn't, and looking all around left and right like a dog looking out the car window.
So people, Josh, are going to see your title, and like that's like a professional sports title. But this, your job is now very, very common in specifically FBS football, correct?
Absolutely. It's, like everything, it's very fluid, right? And with the director of player personnel, overseeing the roster, doing evaluations, working on the high school portion, and then also making sure that we're really good in the transfer portal as well. And that's kind of where college football has gone. It's been about 6-7 years now, no pun intended on the 6-7. That the importance of it, of the recruiting department and being able to analyze and foresee what's going on is super important. So obviously the focus is going to be on high school, and then the portal, you have to be able to understand what It is.
Yeah.
And the importance of that, as much as a lot of people may dislike or do like it, it is a part of our world that we're in. So making sure we have a really rock solid plan moving forward, but at the same time, not going outside of who we are at NDSU, right? The important things with being tough, being intelligent, and the number one thing is having a high competitive edge.
So people may know your name, that you're coming from up the road, or down the road, excuse me. You were working the last few years at the University of South Dakota.
Correct.
How did you where did Bob Nielsen find you, and how did you get to Vermilion?
Well, football, like many things, is a small world.
Yeah.
I knew Coach Nielsen. Actually, as my time as a player, I played at Concordia St. Paul. I guess playing is a little bit of a stretch. I was a long snapper, so I was a fourth down quarterback.
That's the fourth down army, man.
That's
you're part
right.
of that.
That's correct. And as a player, I knew of Coach Nielsen. And then at my time at Iowa State, we'd always kept in touch. He had an opportunity that opened up. Extremely grateful. One of the best men I'll ever have an opportunity to work for. What you see is what you get with Coach Nielsen. Just phenomenal, top to bottom. So we kept in touch. He had an opportunity that opened up in 2022 to come as a director of player personnel, and I jumped at it.
Was that I can't remember, John, were there any other FCS schools having that position? And I don't think so in 2022.
I don't either. I think that I was one of few probably at the time. There were director of football operations in the Valley, but a lot of player personnel guys were not very common. There was a lot of coaches that were dual rolling, wearing multiple hats. So that was exciting as well. To be able to put my footprint down and work with those guys on that portion.
So when you get hired, did you have an outline or was it basically a blank canvas of what your job responsibilities were going to be?
It was a combination of both. There was a good outline of what the expectations were of looking at the roster, how we want to attack recruiting, but also it's molding into what they were doing as well, right? Not trying to come in and be Bob Ross and completely change the canvas of what is going on. But it always has a little give and take with that. So there were some learning pieces with it. I had a great foundation coming from Iowa State. I'm very grateful there with Coach Campbell, learning how they did things and obviously the Midwest landscape, being able to see that, but also knowing Coach Nielsen, what his pieces that are important to him, learning about the University of South Dakota as well. Was
it a slam dunk then when you got there and knowing that Aiden Bauman wasn't playing to say, hey, there's an opportunity maybe to come play in Vermilion?
Well, that, I don't know if I'd say a slam dunk because when I got to Vermilion, he was still on the team.
Yep.
He was happy, all those things. And it just kind of ironically happened where he went in the portal.
Yeah.
And it was one of those pieces, too, where I had to be careful. I didn't want to come in and push that this is the guy, right? Because at the time, Carson Camp was the quarterback. They had just gone to the playoffs in 2021. So for me to come in and try to put my push on it isn't the greatest thing because you have to work with so many other great people. But once he came to campus and everyone had an opportunity to spend time with him and his family, it was pretty simple from that aspect as a human to understand this could be a really great fit. Deep down inside, selfishly, I always felt that he had greatness in him. That's why we recruited him at my previous location. And the rest is history. Turned out to be a very successful player. But bottom line, again, the one thing in recruiting, regardless where you are, it comes down to people, right? And good people that have great work ethic are tough. You're going to win a lot of football games with them.
Josh, on the outside from following here, people can look at, say, wow, South Dakota suddenly was getting a heck of a lot of good players. They got Aiden. They got a ton of running backs that were really, really good. The Charles Pierre comes to mind, a couple other guys as well. That how big a deal were you in getting the roster built to where it was where USD makes the semifinals in 2024?
For sure. I was a cog in the machine for sure. Coach Nielsen, bless his heart, totally gave full trust into vision, right? But it's not just one person. It's all of us working together, from coordinators to position coaches, and also athletic director John Schemmel being able to believe and push for us to be able to make some of those transactions in regards to, hey, we need to fly this kid from here, right? And trusting that the state of Florida, for example, where a lot of those running backs came out of too, that evaluations were a big, big part of that. But again, it was fit, right? All those guys that we had success with from the portal and also a ton from high school, which is the most important part. Those guys were, number one, great people, great students, great competitors. And yes, I had a big part of that, but it's all due to everyone else involved as well.
How did you get Mike Keith's grace to Vermillion? Can you tell that story? Because I had people asking me that after that game in Vermillion, the Bison played, where unbelievable, crazy ending that'll be talked about forever. But I had seen, obviously, Mike Keith play before when you guys played South Dakota State that year. I'm like, holy cow, this is a guy that's unlike that had played in Vermillion before. How in the world did you get him to come to Vermillion?
Well, there's a combo with that one. So he was being recruited by South Dakota prior to me being hired, right? So the high school that he went to, ironically, it's in the Cincinnati area. So he's very close with David Montgomery, which is the connection at Iowa State. And at the time, Corey Brown, the defensive line coach, also had some ties into Ohio from his time coaching at Miami of Ohio. So with that, Mike Keith was super underrated, overlooked. Now, the ironic piece is he was a running back. Freshman, sophomore, and even started his junior year. And unlike me, he had a growth spurt. So he blew up, always had that athletic frame to him. And the truth is, a lot of people just didn't recruit him. So when he came to Vermillion, he got a lot of love by the staff, understood this is a place that cares. And that's really how it worked out. It was, a little bit of luck, you could say, but also trusting our gut with what we saw on tape, what we knew from his family background. And then people like David Montgomery kind of helped out with that too, because this guy's a dog.
Well, watching him and Gray Zabel go head-to-head there for that first couple series, like, okay, this is a different level of that's not FCS level play with having both those guys going head-to-head in that game a couple years ago.
And like Gray, like under-recruited at the time, right? But that's what it's all about. It's taking the time to do the process correctly of seeing on both sides. NDSU did a phenomenal job with Gray being able to say, you know what, we're going to be able to develop this young man. He has all the pieces we want. He's going to be someone that in the future, if we stick with him and he sticks with us, he's going to do a great job. It's the same thing with Mike Keith. We could go through the landscape of college football, and everyone has a story of 1 to 6 guys that everyone overlooked. And that's the beauty of college football, is being able to trust in what your process is, most importantly, right? But then also trust your staff. And being on page with the head coach is saying, this is a kid that we not only can grow with, but we can win with.
Well, I think that's the beauty I always thought of FCS football, is you're going to find guys that were just completely overlooked. You're talking about one right there that there's no business he should be playing in Missouri Valley Conference. It's awesome that he is, but that's always I followed the gem of it. Like, we're going to go see teams like, wow, this guy's really good. What's he doing at this level? And maybe he'll stay. In this day and age, it's harder and harder to do that. And that's why I think another reason for NDSU's move, and I think you'll probably concur with this, it makes a heck of a lot of sense that you have a better chance of keeping those guys now as a Mountain West program, as certainly as you did as an FCS team.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of it, though, is prestige and history, too. Young men in this area and in the Midwest know the product that you're going to get at NDSU. Number one, it's not easy, right? If any of the young men that are coming into this program think that I'm just going to walk in and be given the keys of the Corvette, they're wrong. They have to prove themselves every day in and day out, and that's through the lineage that's been here. Yes, does it help moving into FBS football in the Mountain West? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the product line is not going to change from who we are looking at to recruit. It's all the same pieces that you have to grow up being competitive. You have to be smart, because smart football players win in the end of the day. And at the end of it, you got to be tough mentally, physically. All those pieces are huge.
I want to get into what your role is. You got a couple more minutes. We got to take a break. So after that, I want to talk about what your exact role is going to be here in town. So when recruits are coming or portal players are coming on campus, you live this. How early in the conversation is money brought up? Is that something that they bring up? Is that what the school brings up? At least your experiences. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's going to be different with everybody, right? I think it's a red flag for young men who bring it up immediately,
right away.
Right? Because what is more important to you? Is it about being a servant leader and being a great player, or is it just about getting mine? Then there's guys who you go through the process with, and they bring it up at the very end. That's part of it. It's no different than being an adult and working in different industries. Financials are a big part of it.
What's my salary?
Exactly.
Right.
So in the end of it, though, you always are going to want a kid that's more concerned about is how can I fit this team? How can I make this team better?
What's a bigger red flag, playing time request or money?
To me, money all day long. Playing time is earned, right? And financials should be earned as well. That should be no different. But if you're immediately talking about money, think about if they're trying to interview here and they're like, well, what's my salary going to be and how can I raise that up here in a year? Well, time out. You don't even know what the landscape of this job is, correct?
Correct.
It's the same thing in that position room. How can I fit in and earn playing time? Well, we're going to show you and develop you and tell you.
Are there conversations you've had, and you know, don't name names, or you can if you want, but if you just said, you know what, this ain't going to work. Like you stopped it in its tracks, like, you know what?
Absolutely.
Thanks, but no. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's been times you're on the phone with young men and you're in the portal and it's fast and furious and it's going 1,000 miles an hour. And you know within 3 seconds, it's no different than dating. It's all the exact same, truly. It really is. You know if this person is going to be a fit or not. Now, you have to let the conversation play out because you can't judge a book by its cover immediately. But there are definitely
But sometimes
times.
you can, right?
Yeah, there are times. There have been times.
Josh Rosenthal joining us here in studio, NDSU's new Director of Player Personnel. We'll break. We'll come back much more with Josh, including what his exact role is going to be. Just started May 1. It's May 4th. He's been on the job for all 3 days. So we'll chat about that. Much more when Hot Mike returns right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Josh Rosenthal joining us here in studio, NDSU's new Director of Player Personnel. That's a fancy title. You fit that on a business card? Can you fit all that?
You know, with my last name, it might be tough, but we'll find a way. Otherwise, DPP works out just fine.
So that's good. I like that. I'll make sure I remember that. So we were just joking on air, off air about this. Like, what the exact job titles to describe that? So I'll ask you, how would you just, for people who are watching the show, what you're going to be doing for the Bison now?
Sure. I think the number one thing is evaluation, right? Player evaluation, and it always starts with high school. When it comes to portal evaluation, and then roster management in regards to how we're going to attack this, right? How many players are we trying to bring in each position based on who we have coming back? You know, and then the portal, it's going to be, looking at, okay, we have guys that are seniors in this spot. Are we really young in this area here? But we may want to add a portal guy here. And overall landscape of how we're going to attack this thing, and working directly with Coach Polisek, Patrick Lilly, you know, in recruiting, of doing all these pieces together of how we're going to go about and attack this.
This is common, correct, in this level of football now in the group of 6 FBS. Are there more than one person doing your job at this level of football?
You know, everyone has a different way of slicing it. There can be a couple of people. You know, in the end of the day, there's always going to be 1 to 2 people that are going to be doing this here. You can't have enough evaluators, but sometimes you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, right. That's what I guess my point. Yeah.
But again, it comes down to making sure everyone's speaking the same language on the same playing field. We understand this is what we want to do and how we want to do it.
So I know you've had the job all of 3 days. Have you had a chance to look at NDSU's roster, or is that still what you've been doing the last little bit?
That's been a big part of it, right? Looking at the fact that, you know, we've got 13 committed high school players, which is absolutely phenomenal. Trying to help close that gap. That's the number one piece that I'm trying to do, is to not overtake anything, right? Work with everybody. Let these young men know who I am, and I'm here to help them. That's the biggest part. And then trying to close out the rest of who we're trying to fill in that high school class. And if there are any portal needs on top of it, all with trying to learn the roster, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of it because of playing against it for the handful of years that I was at the University of South Dakota. But those pieces all together. And then looking at the future, too, of trying to be like, okay, we're doing this. We're closing out the 27 class. We're making sure we're tight going into the season. But how are we going to attack the 2028 season, too?
See, that is, to me, as a recruiting nerd, I'm always interested in that, of what the needs are. Like, how is there a big whiteboard up saying, okay, we've got this, and this at this position. We need, is that actually how it works these days, or not anymore?
There's a lot of different ways. Yep, there's whiteboards, there's Excel documents.
Okay.
I mean, the number of Excel documents are up and down wild. But you have to have it all organized because guys are on the road recruiting. You know, there might be a guy who rises, okay, cool, let's move him up. Let's put in more notes. Let's do a second evaluation here and there. So there's always fluidity to what's going on.
I know it's not a hard and fast rule, but I'll ask you this, because NDSU's added a few portal players now. They've added a couple wide receivers. They added a cornerback. If you're available now, does that mean you're not any good?
No, there's a number of reasons. Like when you look at the Ivy League schools, right? The Ivy League school kids cannot leave until they graduate mid-semester, right? Otherwise, there's different situations for everybody. Sometimes it's a family situation. Sometimes a lot of players will wait to will go in the portal and they're still there because they need to graduate, right? They're at a university that they've earned their degree at, and they're not going to transfer and have to go 20 more credits somewhere. So it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong at all. I think that's the natural thing that jumps out, right? Like, well, there's got to be something incorrect with this young man if he's still there. Sure, there are guys who are like that, but there are a lot of guys who are not, and it's educational based, right? And for us, sometimes you have to be able to go through and evaluate, do they fit us? That's more important than anything, because they're both buyers, right, from the young man to us, but you have to fit the category correctly.
See, like for portal players, I'm always intrigued for guys that are deciding to leave and go somewhere else, what the reason is for leaving, because if you wouldn't leave if you were playing a lot or if you were happy. That's always, I wonder, on especially your position, okay, what red flags are we sniffing out on this? Is that basically what your job entails?
It's a big part of it, sure, right? Like not only just the tape is the tape, but again, what is the person? Because at the end of the day, you do win with people, and that is more important. That's why NDSU has been so successful, because you're not going to be able to go down the list and find bad kids. This roster is full of great young men who, again, all have the exact same mindset. They are great teammates first and friends later, right? They're going to make sure they do their job, and it's the same thing when you're trying to vet these young men in the portal. That question has to be answered of, tell me, young man XYZ, why are you looking to find a new home? And sometimes it is playing time. There are times where their position coach has left, and they were really close with that guy. Okay, that's another reason. Sometimes it's the money thing that we talked about, right? And other times it's the head coach leaves. Just went through it at my previous institution.
Right.
Head coach leaves, and now there's a young man who says, you know what, this turnover is too much. I want to find somewhere else. There's a million reasons. That's why you have conversations from myself to the position coach to the head coach having conversations with the young man, because if the answer is all the same, you know it's correct.
Yeah.
But if they start switching their story, then no, I turned right, and then he tells the other coach, no, I went left. Okay, now we have to really reanalyze this. Why is it a different answer?
If you see a player, Josh, that's been in this, like we were just talking about the other night, the baseball broadcast I was doing, he's on his fourth school in 4 years.
Sure.
How much is that a red flag? Say, okay, well, why are you on a fourth separate school in 4 years?
If it's not, then I think there's something wrong with the person evaluating.
Yeah.
Right now, of course, are there situations where there's reasoning to why it
get
happened?
Injured, I guess,
we
right?
We could drill this thing down as much as you want, but I think that is always a red flag, and there's not going to be anybody in America who doesn't feel that way. And again, especially when we talk portal, if you have a previous relationship with that young man, it could have been recruiting out of high school. That's the biggest part. And that's why, especially here at NDSU, we focus so heavily on high school recruiting, because you're not going to bat 1,000, but we're going to present exactly who we are and what we are. And they're going to know that product that we're presenting, right? Sure, you can look at the list of players that we've developed and we've put into the play on Sundays in the NFL. That's part of it. But look at the great young men that we have. And then if we've recruited that young man previously, it makes it a lot easier.
I have two last things for you. From your previous experience with, I know Matt Campbell recruited high school guys, but from your time in the Big 12, how many of those are still recruiting high school guys?
I really think that comes down to individually. I think personally, it's become less.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone wants that seasoned steak. Nobody wants that unseasoned steak that you got to marinate for a couple days. Everyone wants instant gratification. I think that's the problem personally with the youth today too, is they have cell phones, they have instant answers, right? Everything in life needs to be earned. Everything in life needs to go through the process of dealing with tough times, of learning adverse situations that you have to get through. So not trying to beat around that question, but there's a lot of FBS programs when you go back 15 years ago, their high school classes were 25 to 30
Correct.
kids.
Easy,
And
yeah.
now they've dropped down. Some schools are 10, 15. And that's the thing I love about NDSU and Coach Polisek's mindset is we're always going to be high school first. You fill in gaps where you need to in the portal. That's just the reality of the world we live in. But it's always going to be high school based. And I do think that at the end of it, if you are away from that, you're going to be wrong. And there's going to be situations where you can't help it. And you have to be able to utilize the portal at times. Faced it at South Dakota. We lost 23 players from graduation and starters that first time around. It's going to happen. But what does that mean? It means you're doing the right things in the high school portion. It's the same thing. NDSU faced a little bit of it this year with a couple of players. And That's part of it.
Yeah.
You got to move forward.
Last thing, if I would have told you when your playing days were done, this would be your profession, would you believe me? Like, this is what you're going to be doing?
No, I'd be lying to you. I went to college to be an educator.
Yeah.
I taught for a couple of years, and truly, my wife is the reason that I got into football. She knew that I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't super happy. It has nothing to do with teaching in the education system, but I always loved football. And goofy, nerd-like, I love the evaluation process. Now, I'm able to use my education background a lot, right, with being able to communicate, talk, explain, and teach what we are at NDSU. But no, I wouldn't have thought that. But I couldn't be happier and more grateful for all the people that have believed in me and also the ones that haven't. It's a big, big part of it. But my wife and I talk about all the time, if you would have pictured that we would have been at a couple of these spots and now at NDSU, I probably would have laughed you out of the room.
How much do you use analytics in your job as well? Is that forefront, or is that evolving as time goes by?
I think it's different. For myself, it's definitely a part of it.
Okay.
Right? You have to. But you can't be analytical based. You have to trust your eye, and you have to trust the process. And I know I keep using that word, but you have to trust what you're going at. And if you don't, you're going to be in a world of hurt because there are people and teams that share the money ball aspect of it.
Right.
But it's only a piece of it. At the end of the day, you know exactly what you're looking at. Your staff does, and your head coach does.
Trust the tape, right?
Trust
That's
the
what
tape.
I always hear.
It does not lie.
Josh, this was great, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Congrats on the new gig. We look forward to have more of these conversations. I think that's really interesting, and people are going to get an inside perspective on how a roster is made. I always am intrigued with that, so we'll look forward to doing this again, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks
Congrats
for having
on
me.
the gig. Josh Rosenthal joining us, NDSU's first Director of Player Personnel here in studio. We'll break. We come back. We've reached May. It's finally time to talk some of those spring sports. No surprise, Kindred's team is rolling. Vikings head coach Scott Milbrandt will join us when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a very busy Monday. So we finally have reached May, which I think officially now the North Dakota high school sports spring season can begin, which I'll digress another time on that. It's my annual spring crusade to get the season later, but it means we're playing games, and no surprise in Region 1, there's a couple teams that have set the standard in baseball. Kindred and Central Cass, they play later this week. It's great to have Vikings head coach Scott Milbrandt back with us. I haven't talked with him in forever. I'm going to give your brother a hard time because he almost got me hook, line, and sinker that you were in Churchill Downs this weekend. I saw that on social media.
Yeah, that's good stuff. It sure looked real. I wish we would have been there. I didn't leave Kindred.
How much did you get? A ton of text messages? Hey, how was the Derby?
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
It's great to see you. Congrats on a great start. Let me start with would you be in favor of starting a little bit later, knowing full well that, hey, we can play more games if we start April 20th as opposed to March 20th?
Yeah, I would, but then you talk to the summer people and that would throw a monkey wrench in their schedule.
Yep.
But if you kind of, selfishly, if you start middle of April and then start your games May 1st, go through mid-June, have your tournaments all done by the 4th of July, the kids would get July off. It makes sense up here because our tomorrow we're supposed to play and it's going to be May 5th, and we're looking at 45 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds. So we move that Central Cass game from Tuesday to Thursday. So, I mean, you never know what you're going to get up here. It's kind of crazy.
How few games do you remember playing in a season and going to state? Like in the teens, I imagine there's probably a year you had that, right?
Yeah, right. There's been some years where we didn't play our first game till April 26th. I think the latest I have written down is April 28th.
Wow.
So now you're going to put a full season in 2.5 weeks. That's tough.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. What fun is that, right? I don't know how much fun the kids are having when you got to play. Hey, great. I know they want to play games, they want to practice, but we got to play 4 out of 5 days. I mean, that's a lot to burn through a season.
Yeah, and you're going to need a lot of arms,
yes,
right, to do something like that. But when you first start, in March, you figure, we're going to be inside. That's very common. But once you get outside and then you have to go back inside for 2.5 weeks, that makes it pretty tough.
Tell us about the Vikings here in 2026. How you evaluate your team? Obviously, you're off to a great start. You've only lost 1 game out of 10. Describe what the team has been up to this year.
Really great character kids this year. 3 seniors that lead the way: Carson Getty, Gabe Iverson, and Max Bernier. Carson Getty covers a lot of ground and left. He's our cleanup hitter. He's done a real good job. Gabe Iverson plays short, does some pitching for us. A good contact hitter. And Max Bernier plays first and pitches for us as well. Gabe also pitches for us. So good character kids who lead by example, and boy, you'll take that any day.
Wait, did you have expectations that, hey, we could be really, really good this year? Or is this something, a work in progress, that we have potential to be good?
I thought we could be really competitive. We got some good young kids. We lost some seniors last year, but these kids have filled in. Our strengths have been our offense and pitching. We're currently, as a team, we're hitting 358, which that is outstanding as a team. And it's kind of been up and down the lineup. We don't really fall off on that, where you typically would see a team 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And then our pitching, Fisher Johnson and Brock Johnson have been our good 1-2 punch. They haven't given up an earned run yet this season. So, that's good stuff. And then we've got Gabe Iverson, Max Bernier, Carter Gronwald, Jackson Schliemann, and Sam Bernier have given us really good quality innings. Eli Mack pitched for us last year as a freshman, did a really, really nice job, but he's dealing with a shoulder injury right now. So we miss his arm, but he's been able to contribute as our designated hitter. So he's been putting the ball in play really hard for us.
So we were just showing highlights of Fisher out there on the mound. What has made him stand out this year for you to say he can be our ace? He can be our number 1 guy.
Yeah, I'd say Fisher and Brock are our 1A, 1B, right? They just pound the zone. They mix things up, keep the hitters off balance. And when they do put the ball in play, our defense has, been really solid. We've had a few nights where we kick it around, but we've been able to still win the game. So that shows a lot about our team.
So here we are. Now it's May. I mentioned off the top. So we know region tournament's not that far away. State at the end of the month. Is this now, hey, granted, we got to wait for the weather still, but this is go time. If we're going to do this, we got to now, second season, basically, another gear we got to hit now.
Yeah, right. Our region has always had tough teams, right? So come tournament time, you're not going to count anybody out. Everybody's got a good pitcher. So baseball's funny that way.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready to play. You can't take anybody for granted, and we surely won't do that. But I think, we've mixed up our lineup a lot this year, and we still are. We're still trying to tweak. We've got about 12 guys that could vie for spots, which is a great problem to have. So we are trying to finalize that, which is going to be tough for us as coaches to do, but it's a great problem to have. So, this week will really be try to fine tune that and see who's hot, with the bat. Those are the guys you're going to go with, and who's been playing better defense. And so it'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to after this week, next week, getting into tourney time.
All right, you're the OG of Kindred, because everyone's won now. Golf's had its run, football, both basketballs. You won. Don't hate me on this. 2011, if I remember right. Was that in Jamestown as well? Right. Was that Jamestown?
No, that was up in Mandan.
Mandan. Okay.
Yep.
But you got the winning start. But tell me how the winning affects with every other program. You've been there. You've seen it. You were on the bench with Brad, I know, when Kindred won in boys basketball.
Yep.
How that's bled out, Scotty, to all the other programs at Kindred.
Well, I think that, around that time that, we've always had good work ethic kids, good character kids. But I think once you start talking about the culture, I think the culture just spread throughout all the sports, and you even see it in the arts, right? I mean, we've got good programs all the way through. I can remember 2011 when, we were blessed to win. what did you see then that summer? You saw kids throwing baseballs around. Everybody, that's kind of how it is. They all want to be part of that as young kids, right? And you see that in football and all the other sports, basketball. You see kids are constantly trying to get better, which, I mean, it is a lot of fun, and we're pretty blessed here in Kindred with that.
I'll put you on the spot. Was there an athlete that never played baseball that would have been really good, and that you couldn't twist their arm to come out and play baseball? Man, he would have been really good.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, there's a lot of them.
I bet.
I mean, and we're also blessed with a great track program.
Yes.
And we do some dual sporting, but that's gonna, track has had great success, so we can work together and try to complement one another.
Well, if you can, Trey Hussar well. What he did last year, we had him on.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate double of what he did last year to go win a region and then go compete at state track.
Right. I mean, what an athlete.
And
He was fun to watch.
Now he's playing at South Dakota State. All right, last thing before we go. I don't know if you saw the crazy story out of Concordia this weekend that somebody stole the bases and the pitching rubber. Okay, you're a baseball guy. How long would it take somebody to actually get in and take the pitching rubber out of a mound?
I don't understand why. I saw Bucky's post.
Yeah.
I mean, it just amazes me. I mean, isn't there other things we could do?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I don't understand, because there's a lot of pride, right, in any field in North Dakota. I don't know why anybody would want to go and try to do those things. It's a shame.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Here, one last hot seat one. Your favorite Region 1 baseball diamond not named Kindred is where?
Well, that's got to be Enderlin.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
I mean, that place is, Kevin Brotland's been there as long as I've been in Kindred, and they've had pride and tradition in that field, and it's so fun to go and play
Totally.
there. I mean, and they take water where Kindred does not. So, we've been there so many times. Hey, can we come and play on your field, because ours isn't playable? So, gorgeous field there in Enderlin.
So you got Central Cass later this week. I'm going to have Dustin on later this week. They're always really good. Describe previewing that one coming up later this week on Thursday.
Oh man, that's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
Through the years, we've always been good rivals in all sports, and that's a lot of fun. And the kids know one another, and they play the game right, and it's gonna be a tight one. It's gonna be a lot of fun Thursday.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this always. Stay warm. I can't believe I'm saying that on May 3rd for baseball, but good luck later this week. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks, Don, for having me.
Great to see you, bud. There he is, Scotty Milbrandt, head coach, long time, the Kindred Vikings, 2011. Remember that? Doing the old radio show, he joined me when they won the state championship there. That was the breakthrough. Like, everyone knows now that Kindred wins all the time in football, and they win all the time in girls basketball or boys basketball. He mentioned track. That wasn't the case. When baseball won, golf they've won in. When they won the baseball deal, softball, they ran off so many in a row too, and that's before softball was sanctioned when the Vikings won in 2011. That was the jump starter. And now, you look at it, if they go through a academic year, athletic year, and they don't win something, then it's more eye-opening than if they do. And that was the start of it way back when, 2011. Okay, we'll take our final break. I got a bunch of emails on more on the Concordia deal. We'll get to that. A few reactions to the Star Wars list as well. We'll do that as we put a bow on things, get you ready for Game 1, Wolves-Spurs. Hot Mike wraps after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday morning. Tomorrow, our guy Mike McFeely will join us. Kyle Theed's going to join us from the Wolves Back podcast. If you thought you may run into the most enthusiastic Wolves supporter, he'll join us tomorrow to give us a full breakdown on Game 1, Wolves-Spurs. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. I just got this sent to me. A friend of the program, Eric Martinson, UND's deputy AD, says, we had our pitching rubber stolen as well. Filed a police report right away, but something is up seeing your tweet just now as well. Really strange. So that's, I believe, from Kraft Field up in Grand Forks. So I'll go back to what I said in the first hour. What are we doing? So apparently it's happened again. If it's some sort of dare or something, I don't know. Just again, like I go back what Scott Milbrandt said in our last, we have other things going on. Like, this is what we have to do now. And like, what are we doing messing up fields like that? Like, to me, that is, shake your head. Email comes in. Dom, let's not forget that schools like Central Cass have only had high school baseball for approximately 25 years. And back then there were 6 teams in Region 1. The growth of high school baseball teams in North Dakota over the past 25 years has been pretty substantial. Legion ball has been around forever. Whatever high school season we get in North Dakota is a bonus. Yeah, I've heard that before. That's the argument to stay where we're at, which I disagree with that viewpoint. At this point, like, why do we ask the spring athletes to say, hey, you know what? You sign up for it. This is what you get. We would never ask that of the fall. We would certainly never ask that of football. We never ask that of basketball, nor hockey, nor wrestling. I don't know why, because when they play, that baseball, softball, golf, soccer, tennis, just say, you know what? Screw it. This is what you get. That seems patently unfair. And if you're going to sit here and tell me, well, they're not as popular as those other sports, I would say, to whom are you saying that to? Are you saying that on the outside? Because for the athletes that do it, tell the track athletes it's not as popular, right? Tell the soccer athletes it's not. Tell the golfers who haven't had a chance to go out and play maybe one round or 2 competitive rounds. That's baloney to me. I find that is always the answer. Or we can't do it later because A, we're going to interfere with Legion. B, we're going to interfere with summer vacation. C, we're going to interfere with just different organizations. D, teachers don't want to work beyond June 1. All of those are malarkey as well. Why is it acceptable in Minnesota where they go to the middle of June for their baseball? Their baseball championship is on June 20th, right? June 17th. God forbid we can do that in North Dakota. I don't understand why we couldn't maybe just extend a week even. Because now we're getting set for this. And I'll say this is personal now because we televise all the spring tournaments. In what universe is it fair that, and this goes back to my time anchoring the sports, that we have to pick and choose which ones we cover, right? Because soccer is going at the same time as baseball, is going at the same time as softball, is going at the same time as tennis, that it's physically impossible. In the old days, we had a bigger staff. We had a 3 to 4 person sports staff that we could go and cover all of that. We got help from our friends out west that could cover if a tournament was in Mandan or was in Dickinson. Now that we televise it, right, we can televise that won't be the full broadcast, right? If we extended it out a week, they could do that. You could get all the bells and whistles, which I'm sure people would love. But for some reason, we have to have 6 all in one. Again, that doesn't happen in the fall or the winter. So you want to give me a rational reason beyond the ones that I listed out, because that's what I consistently get pushback with, right? Then we can have that conversation. But to me, those are all, I've been hearing it, for 20 years, I've been having this argument for at least the last 12 to 13, because I can remember specifically in April that we were not having any spring sports from April 1 to April 23rd. Like, how fun is this for those athletes? I remember, we got to go, but one year they created an EDC soccer tournament just to play games because they didn't play enough during the regular season to seed who were going to be the teams to go to state. Like, is that where we want to be? What a mess. Fix it. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. My annual spring rant. All right, here we go. Tonight, we got Game 1, Wolves, Spurs, 8:30. Yes, it's on Peacock tonight. See if Anthony Edwards plays. He's listed as questionable. Right now, the Spurs are a 13.5-point favorite for that game with Minnesota. We got Game 1, West semifinals, the Ducks and the Golden Knights. It's the other series in the West besides the Avalanche and the Wild. That's at 8:30 tonight on ESPN. That should be fun between Anaheim and Vegas. And for you Socceroobs, I didn't forget you, 2 o'clock Premier League, Everton and Man City. Coming up today on USA. For all you Star Wars nerds out there, enjoy the day. I'm going to do it right after the show is done. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody, on a busy Monday. Hope you enjoyed it. If you missed anything, you can go back and podcast it later today, or you can watch it on WDAY+. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.